We call a meeting of the Grafton Cable Oversight Committee to order at December 16th, 2019. I trust we have all had an opportunity to review the minutes of the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Do we hear any motions on the floor?
I make a motion to accept the November 19th meeting minutes as written.
Okay.
Motion made and
Wait a
seconded.
minute, does it say November
Discussion?
18th?
November 18th.
You said 19th.
I said November 2019. There's no date on the
Oh,
agenda.
I didn't hear okay.
So this is for the November 18th, 2019 minutes.
Yes, I'll second it.
Been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
I
Aye.
All righty.
I abstain. I wasn't there.
All right. You be abstained. I trust that we're not going to have much of a treasurer's report without
Treasurer.
President Berger here.
The door to his office was open. So I don't know if he's down there working on his treasurer's report or not.
I don't know why,
all
but
right.
I remember him saying he was.
Well, it's not, what, the 22nd is Hanukkah? Does that sound right? So
Yes.
he's still working, right?
Yeah.
20, I think it's a Monday. It just came up as a competition with something else. Yes, Monday, a week from tonight,
23rd.
All right.
23rd.
Do you want me to
Alright.
run down and check?
No, that's all right.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Call him.
If he's,
texted
if he
him.
watches this on cable rebroadcast, we wish you a very happy Hanukkah. Let's see, next meeting, we've got a conflict with the third Monday on Martin Luther King Day, so I thought we would have a discussion instead of just throwing a date out there.
Well, we could move Martin Luther King to another day if you want.
I'm not digging them up.
Who do we have to call for that?
All right. Well, we'll just be thinking about that for a minute. I guess Bob's gone to go call Bob.
You're persuaded that we can't meet on MLK Day?
Right.
Why
it's a
is that?
holiday.
I always, whose holiday, whose holidays count and whose don't.
I don't believe.
Any federal holiday.
I believe it's a
Yeah.
federal holiday, so offices shouldn't be. I don't even think town hall will be open that day.
Well, it begs the question right off the bat, do we have a consensus of another date, or do we want to, is there a pressing need? I think there probably is a pressing need, given that we're in contract negotiations.
Yeah, well, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bob.
Maybe you want to wait till the end of the agenda to see if there's anything that is going to need to be.
An excellent suggestion. Thank you. So let's put that off.
That's what I get the big bucks for, knowing these things.
All right.
My addition to it was that you're probably the same kind of issues with other public meetings,
Yeah.
that they move them to a day before or say a Monday before or a Monday after, which means that it becomes all the more difficult to
Yeah.
have this meeting because of some conflicts.
I think we should go back to the old tradition and have a meeting on a Saturday morning down at the studio, see the new conference room and all that. I haven't seen the new studio since it's.
Well, stop in. They're open all day. I don't
Yeah,
want
no,
to.
don't they keep the door locked though? They only let people in that,
Go during the day. I know the guy. I know a guy.
yeah, but you won't be there.
All right. I'll tell him you're coming. I don't want a meeting on Saturday. It's
Well, but
the
the
only time.
Saturdays were good, they had fewer conflicts, but the main thing is, we could meet down there. You could even have a camera.
All right, well, we'll talk about it. The green screen usage, if you haven't seen it yet, it is fantastic. I've seen it, I get over there during the open house, and I saw with some people that had come in and set up their little recordings and things like that, and it boggles the mind what would be able to do. But as far as the seasonal things that were loaded on there, they were just spectacular on the screen. So very well done, very well done.
there'd be two parts to that. One is having good material, and the other is the tool.
Yeah.
You know, is the new green screen better than the old green screen at the old studio?
Well, the old green screen was plywood with green paint on it,
I know what it was.
and
So I'm guessing this is better.
Jonathan advised us that the curtain would improve the longer it hung, because it had a number of wrinkles in it from storage. Credit to Bill Robidoux and Jack Kelly for their ability to get it up and running and in a timely manner, and we got the lighting just right again with help from Jonathan Lipsey, who guided us through the process. It worked flawlessly. We had no issues with it whatsoever. Once we figured out we could use not only stills but motion graphics, as long as they were the proper format. When the families and the children came in, they all chose the motion graphics, and off they went. So
We had some little kids in there that were giving a Christmas message, and on the screen behind them, there were snowmen that were like moving all around like that. It was just dramatic. It was so cool. So cool.
Does the switcher let you do green screen on more than one camera? You know, the old one, you only had one camera.
when I had that discussion with Jonathan,
Right.
actually it was by telephone because he was on his way to Toronto for a sporting event with his son, and when I asked him about that, when he returned with the training that he offered to bring us up to speed on, he said that we should also ask Gary Pink to come back, because he said it will do 3 camera angles, but there are a couple of tricks that Gary will teach us how to do those shots across to the corners.
Yeah, there were the two things. One is that the old switcher only did one camera. You know, it only had one channel of green screen. I take it that there are 3 channels, or there's multiple channels of green screen. But then the other trick is you don't want the same green screen background regardless of which camera you're shooting from, because that'll look really strange. You know what I'm saying? And is there a capability to have the backgrounds go with the cameras? You know, each camera gets its own background.
I don't know what the solution's gonna be, but I know the graphics that we downloaded to use, we went for the high-definition wallpaper images that just, were this wide, and
Right.
so I'm hoping it's something as simple as that, and the curvature of the screen will just take all the hard work out of it. I'm not certain. Until the two of them come back and walk us through the steps, I'm not quite sure how we're
Did
gonna.
they give you a time frame? They're coming back?
I can get Gary here anytime, but Jonathan was traveling until the middle of this week, I believe, so it won't be very long. We can get them back in.
Okay. But I just thought it was great.
About the green screen, one thing by the way, I had a chance to actually go down to the studio and see it.
Amazing.
I was quite impressed, very impressed. The one thing that you brought up to my attention was when they recently had just set up the green screen at that time, and it had wrinkles in it, and you said those wrinkles would eventually go away.
Yeah, I opened with that.
and,
He said that as long as it hung, they will eventually just
So they
relax, and it'll,
It is getting better?
you couldn't tell there was a wrinkle in the curtain anywhere.
Excellent.
The video displayed nothing, so.
The only, when I first got in, and just the lights are very, basic, most like halfway up basic, the very edges where like it comes down from the ceiling, you could see just barely, but as soon as you actually add some little customization to the lights, it's nothing. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
They disappear.
Lends it.
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, the fire department inspection.
Finally took place, and we finally passed, so we are now officially open to the public. And as far as paperwork goes, that happens here in this building. There's nothing left for me to do. And I gave Steve Charest a key and the contact information card that gets locked in the little device outside the front door, so in case of emergency. And we're good,
Excellent.
good to go.
Excellent. So the move is finally complete. Excellent. Congratulations. Congratulations. Very well done, everyone that was involved in that.
And he has
Very well
alarm
done.
codes. He has alarm codes.
Same alarm codes that we had down there.
Yeah, okay, so he
They
has
didn't
all
change
that.
at all.
He's got all that, okay.
All right. Talk about an open house. Do we have thoughts here?
I have just a thought about the agenda. Is there any difference between this in old business and the open house discussion in new business?
Okay.
We're gonna have, we're gonna have two.
Yeah, I wanted to have, I didn't make a mistake there.
Okay.
No, for this one here, I wanted to just talk about thoughts about the open house before we had the studio accepted. And then afterwards, what I meant by putting that in there is we'll talk about it now that it's been inspected. I didn't make a mistake on the agenda.
I wouldn't think you would.
But I'll tell you, is that if we discuss this, I'm gonna cross out the other one.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, any thoughts? as to what we wanna
We
do?
sure ought to do it,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's where I am, too.
and we might even let people know that there's a high-definition channel
Yeah.
while we're doing all this.
There's so much that we can do, plan an agenda or things like that.
My only thoughts on this are as an employee working. I thought of some ideas for having it be live broadcast with no audio, so not being able to hear people's conversations in the studio, but having some background noise and having some cameras around, one high up in the studio, just with a downward people walking in. It probably wouldn't be live, it'd probably just be something recorded to then show off.
Yeah, I don't think we want to have it live because what if nobody comes?
Exactly, yeah.
You have a camera following one
Walk
guy
out with
around the studio.
disguises, so
Yeah,
it looks
yeah.
like we're multiple people.
Yeah, I think if you want people to be relaxed and to actually show up, there wouldn't be any, there would be still photography maybe, but there'd be no video.
Don't you remember Jail and Bail?
I do,
A
but
lot of
I-
people came.
Yeah, a lot of people came, but I wasn't on the planning end of it. I was just on the,
Yeah, I know, you were on the floor,
I was just on the floor.
being
so-
chased for 4 or 5 hours by the camera.
And that's when I was younger and could do that stuff. We all were younger and could do that stuff.
Yeah.
So
even-
what
even
are,
me.
what are we thinking here?
How wide a net do you want to cast as far as inviting the public, all elected and appointed committees, all business people, all church
Well, you know,
members, all
All public.
Yeah.
public, well,
Stepping off, you would have to have the, anyone who had anything to do with the move. So there would be, that would be the first group. And then I would think what we want to do is, who we do business with, like the schools and the producers that we have. And then get into VIPs. I think the senator and the rep should be invited. Certainly the police,
Our neighbors.
and then any news outreach that we can do.
I like that idea about producers. Having to see if we can get some people back in.
Yeah.
See the new place. That's a good idea.
Yeah, at least if you're able to let them know, I don't know whether we have good current email addresses, but
Probably.
to the degree you have, half of them don't know, I'm guessing, half
Yeah.
of them don't know that there's a new studio.
well, they know.
All right, so-
Well, the active, 3 or what have you got?
People,
So basically, what you're just talking about is a prioritized guest list for that. But I'm more or less trying to think of from the point of John LaPointe, that
Yeah.
the promotion and the announcement to speak of this. And I know that we thought about possibly having it for the, chain of, events or chain of lights, where they call it in the town that they have. But I don't think there's enough time between then and now, so.
No, it could have been a Frosty stop.
Right, and next year, obviously it'd
Yeah.
be great, but I think we've missed the boat on that. But I think that we really need to think about, again, that prioritized guest list, some of it being privately announced, and then
Do you
something that
think
may
we
be on a
should
bigger
form a
level.
subgroup, a subcommittee to plan the open house?
No, I don't think we need to have a subcommittee.
I think it could be as simple as saying, like, sending out emails to the people we want to come down, people who are involved in it, and then Facebook post, put stuff on the on the community channel.
Okay, well, before we talk about any more of those things like that, where is the lead on this? We say, oh, send out emails, oh, contact this, who's gonna be in charge of it?
So, I'm thinking, was that a head nod? I'm thinking that probably I'm gonna have to pick up the ball and run with it. I can get all of the emails, the department heads, the elected and appointed members of all committees. I'm pretty certain, working with Tim or Becca, I can come up with the names of all the religious leaders in town, and, I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot of hard work. Business people, and just send out the invitation. I can contact Jen Lord Paluzzi and Cindy Quattro Bowles, forgive me if I didn't get that right. Sandra, not Cindy, sorry, Sandra Quattro Bowles, who both have been in contact with me since the open house for Grafton Celebrates the Holidays. So getting word out, and you can just assume they're gonna show up anyway, so. So I can take all that on. I'm not really concerned about that. I think what I'm thinking about is you get a building full of people, then what? Are you gonna offer refreshments? Are you gonna offer straight, just soft drinks and refreshments? Are you gonna offer beer and wine? Are you gonna get a
No,
one-day
just soft
license, or?
No
so-
alcohol.
So,
Soft drinks, water, and, pastries and things, like cookies.
right.
Like the spread that you put out for the open house.
Chips, dip, maybe?
It was a lot of candy for the kids, but just to back up a little bit, the open house didn't get tacked on to a Frosty stop because there was still
Yeah.
the overlying doubt of whether or not we were actually open to the public. We got special permission and a temporary from the auspices of the building inspector. So that was why we didn't really push for that. And plus, in my opinion, I didn't want the two things to, I didn't want one thing to overshadow the other.
Right.
So yeah, moving forward, we can do anything the membership wants to do. And I was gonna suggest maybe that if we had VIPs and elected and appointed officials of committees, that maybe you would want a separate open house for the public. I mean, I don't, maybe
agree.
members don't wanna be
But-
trapped in a corner with members of the public. So,
That actually is a
so anyway, those are some of the things that I've been thinking about.
that was a concern of mine, because I feel like everyone undershot how many people we were gonna get for Grafton Celebrates the Holidays, and that makes me think that if we do something like this open to the public, there's gonna be a ton of people there.
Okay, Bob?
I'm not sure. First of all, I don't understand prioritized list. Invite everybody. I just been through this with the Small Stones Festival thing, and you invite everybody. But particularly, I want to be sure that you get all of the public figures who appear on GGTV, for sure, not just the chairman, but all of them, because they should see the studio and see the.
That's right, we wanna make sure you're back and working. Of course.
Yeah, and not to object too much about what you're saying, but I think that the show and tell part of it is relative to your clientele. If you have those which are like school committee, or you have those that have, can see a need that we can benefit them on, and they can see what we can do, then that might be something they might be involved in. You can deal with them directly about those issues. If they're, people, that are here part of the town hall area, I mean, that they have a different type of agenda. The public would be a little bit different in terms of how you present the studio as well. So I think there might be some variations between them, and also, depending on how many attendees, it would give you a little bit of control of the number of people attending.
I think in that school of thought too, because your actual experience with Grafton Celebrates the Holidays was that we aimed low. And just in case, I think there's a lot of merit to having a dignitary official opening and then have one for the general public to show off the studio.
One last thing about it. As far as the public, as far as the opening, official opening, I think that should be the general public one.
Yeah.
And we should work on publicity specifically for that purpose, the Grafton News or other publications and so forth, to have pictures and explain about what is being presented here to draw the interest of the public to see this. Just as, again, John did such a great job with. And that in itself, I think, would be good for the opening as such. I think the others might be more or less, a special visit, kind of like a, special premiere for those individuals. No, Bob, go ahead.
The public officials get invited to everything. The ones that are important or think they are, show up when there's a chance to be seen being there. The public is there, they'll be there.
They can come to both.
Actually, I agree with you, Bob. Here, I don't see. I do see how it could be something to have two separate events, but I don't see as much of a purpose. I think we've kind of gotten away from the original purpose of just having people come in and see the place.
Mm-hmm. Just make it official that it's here.
Yeah, I think that if it comes down to trying to find, some working relationships through that, having people come in and see what they can do, I think that can happen at the same time.
Yeah, you make connections for that.
Exactly.
And because you're not going to be able to work stuff out during
Exactly.
a crowd.
And doing the Celebrate the Holidays, I saw that dynamic right there. Kids come in, they see things at a surface level. They want to see, where am I on camera? This, and then adults come in and they say, can we use this conference room? And how does the switcher work? So it works. You can get both of those things done in one meeting.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing everybody correctly,
Two.
one event, everybody's
I'll go that
invited,
way. Yeah,
no alcohol.
yeah.
Well,
Plain and keep it
I'm
simple.
gonna be 21 in a couple days, so maybe.
You can drink in the parking lot.
can you even do alcohol in public buildings? I don't think so.
I think you'd have to go to before the selectmen and get a,
Well, you'd have to get a license.
generic. Yeah.
Yeah, one day beer and wine or whatever, but I'm not sure that it's allowed
I feel like they've
in public
done
buildings.
wine tastings in the gymnasium downstairs.
Yeah, at the senior center gym, they had that wine tasting event that the Lions put on.
Okay.
but anyway, I don't think we're interested in that.
No.
But I think that maybe, even if we did want to pursue that, it would still have to go before the select.
All right. What kind of help do you need to do this?
To gather up all the names, I don't imagine I'm gonna need a lot of help. Like I said, I already have contact information for Jen and for Sandra, so.
All right, if there's anything you think you can throw my way, I'd be more than happy to.
I mean, I'll start on it tomorrow, and just go full speed ahead with it and see what we come up with. And then we'll go from there. The only question I have right off,
When?
when?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
That was next on my list.
Day, evening, weekend, weeknight.
Well,
After the 12 days of Christmas,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be
and
after
not on
New Year's.
MLK Day.
Yeah, I would say early, mid-January.
I'm thinking
I-
Saturday evening, early afternoon, Saturday evening in January.
You don't think a weeknight?
I was gonna say,
I'm happy, a Friday night.
I don't know, Bob.
was- I would say Friday night. So there's no chance that any of us have to be out working. That can be our work.
Well, that's why I went for Saturday, but anyway. Yeah, a Friday or a Saturday, either one works. It's just a question of picking a
I
date.
think Friday has a little bit better chance of getting people, because people are off for the weekend, doing things for the weekend.
And Saturday, they're already doing them.
Yeah.
How about Saturday mornings, mid-month, every month?
Yeah. 10 a.m.
Put your two pair of glasses on and just sit over there, will you? I think the Friday is good too, because if we're talking about people who are gonna be coming from their official capacity to this, they'll probably already have been at work at Friday and then just come after that.
All right, so then my next question is, if I pull all of this information together, and it's a fairly simple process, I can't see how it wouldn't be, but if it's a fairly simple process and I pull this all together, would you like to recommend a date now, or would you rather wait and see how?
About January 10th.
A little,
January 10th or 17th?
I like the 17th better. Again, I think the 10th might be just a little bit too
A little too
early.
close with the holidays coming up, making everything shorter.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't know is how that works with deadline for publication on with the media.
Or snow.
well,
Or,
you have, well, I don't think you have a serious, like, planning board has this, you have to be 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks, all that
Right,
kind
well,
of
what I mean
stuff.
is, what's their deadline when they want to go to print with something, and so that's what
Does anybody print anymore?
I think they still do.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Or even if they go to the internet, they still have a deadline, so.
No, but yeah, I think even a week, a little bit after the first, it'll get lost before the first.
Somewhere between Friday the 10th and Friday the 17th.
Well, you're saying when to send it out, or what?
No, I mean, that's the time frame that
I-
we seem to be looking at.
Let me
I
see,
suppose I
let
should
me
look at the
see.
calendar.
I think we're in agreement that the 17th would be a better date.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the beginning of a long weekend for people who have MLK off.
Yes.
yeah, no, I see, that's why I don't like it.
Why?
What,
Because
the
then some
17th?
people
Away?
may travel,
They go away.
yeah.
10th is a little early.
Yeah.
What about, are kids out of school for a certain length of time there? Or they just have the day off?
In January.
College kids would just about to be going back at that time.
Which, the 10th or the 17th, or
Uh,
somewhere right around
I
in
know my
there?
sister goes back on the 22nd of January, so they'd be, and that's about normal having that month
How about
off.
January 31st?
That's kind of
way
far
too late.
out.
Yeah, I get nervous.
Well, it
but-
gives plenty of time to plan.
How about happy medium, 24th?
That'll give plenty of lead time.
Unless we get really strict with the holidays, because it's the day before Lunar New Year.
I don't really know that Martin Luther King holiday time period is a big travel thing.
time, yeah.
I think some people, they go skiing for the weekend and things like that.
You know what? If they miss it, Jim, they miss it.
Will be open thereafter.
I don't feel strongly any, but I'd say somehow the 17th seems right.
I'm happy with.
But I'd like to get it done, I'd like us to be out there.
I'm
sooner-
happy with the 17th. If we have to go further, if we have to go beyond the 17th, I would recommend the 31st.
Really?
Well, I won't be here that week after, so.
Oh, the 30, you
The
won't be here the
19th,
24th?
19th through the 28th, I'll be in Aruba.
The 19th
Congratulations.
The 19th through the 28th. Yeah, that would definitely argue against the 24th, because there's going to be lead-up work in those days. That's pretty much, the start of that's pretty close to your publicity window. And whatever arrangements for munchies, good stuff and whatnot.
So if we were to take a straw poll, I would vote for the 17th. I think
agree.
Bob wants the 17th.
I like it.
Corson's on board, so.
I'm not pushing very hard, but I think 17th seems like the answer.
John? 17th?
17th. I think it's a perfect amount of time. That last couple days of December, because next week is all messed up because it's way shorter because of holidays and stuff. So I think you get that, end of December, early January, that whole week for publication deadlines if anyone's worried about that. And
Yeah, there's something to be said also for as soon as this is official, putting out some word that there is going to be this.
yes,
One of the places to send it out to is the producers, our,
yes, try and find
Producers
that.
list.
Try and find that list.
because they would have that's something,
And come and see the new
that-
place and
The selectmen say, another thing,
Yes.
But at least,
I'm trying to Google the date to see if anything comes up. And when I do 1/24/17, all I get is readings from Isaiah.
I don't have that problem.
I must have a Catholic phone. So we're saying the 17th?
Yes.
Maybe the hours are flexible for now. See what we, we can say the evening of the 17th, and a little later on decide 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever. Actually, it could even be 5 o'clock.
I would say 5.
5 to 8 or something like that. You're gonna catch some people that can come by on their way home from work.
It's Ben Franklin Day, Cable Car Day,
Cable, I just saw cable.
Customer Service Day, Ditch New Year's Resolutions Day.
So no conflicts.
It's the meeting of the National Organization of Eastern Oklahoma Chapter.
Oh, well, we can't do it then.
Oh, that's, whatever. What did we say, 5 o'clock?
I like 5.
Yeah, 5 works for me.
Yeah, 5 to, I'll put in 8 here.
Yeah.
Now, here's something for us. If we see this as our baby, there's a thing here for your baby's due date is January 17th, what to expect.
Shock and amazement. How's
Read
that?
that
That's
up.
what I expect.
Shock and awe. It's the feast of Saint Anthony the Abbot.
Good for him.
All right, so all government VIPs, all members of the public, any producers that we can reach out to, our partners at Charter, which I didn't hear mentioned, soft drinks only, Friday evening, 5 p.m., January 17th, 2020.
So
And I'll s-
1/17/20.
And I'll start on that tomorrow.
Do we have any Verizon people?
We don't have Verizon people, they're all in New Jersey.
Yeah, even like, there's somebody who must be government liaison, but are they distant? They're not?
Yeah, everybody that I've ever talked to is either in New York or New Jersey. I've never met anybody local, so.
I suppose they do make periodic trips up around this area.
I will be happy to invite anybody that wants to come, but,
Yeah, at least a courtesy invite.
Yeah, if you
like
have
when you
a
do it.
government liaison type person, there should be.
I don't think I've ever even spoken to I've spoken to the technicians related to the move. Maybe they could direct me in the right direction.
Actually, Bill August should be able to.
You might know, yeah, that's true.
All right.
Oh, we ought to invite Bill August.
Oh, I would think so,
At
yeah.
how much an hour?
Oh, no.
You'd want to know, are those cameras on? So the Grafton celebrates the holidays. That's, as Jack was saying, there was a nice turnout. And I know that we got a little bit of press on that, too. That was nice.
So we gathered early enough to get everything up and running before we opened the doors, and we were just chatting casually, and I wasn't really certain what to expect. I thought there might be some confusion between the old address and the new address because people could easily confuse 296 and 26 Providence Road as a typo.
Oh.
It's a pretty fair assessment. I think people would look at the flyer and go, oh, look, they made a mistake. So, as it turned out, I didn't think we would be very busy at all. The younger members of the group, Bill and Jack, thought we would be very busy, and turned out we were. From the moment we opened the door, we had a steady stream of people. We had a lot of repeat visitors. We had some new visitors. Representative David Meradian stopped by. Each of us, Jack and I conducted tours. Rick showed up, and it was one of the good days. He was feeling all right. And then
How's he doing?
he's got some issues, so we can talk about that off camera. People came through. We conducted tours. We took them from the front door all the way to the studio and then back out again. They came perfectly spaced, so we didn't have a lot of backup. They came in, they did their thing, and they were out. We made a management decision and decided to tell people, here's your sign-up sheet, name, best telephone number to contact you, and an email. We're gonna send you your finished clip by end of business Monday, which we did. And that worked out great because we didn't have to go through the transfer process of trying to download it, getting it from the rack to a laptop and then burn it. That slowed down the whole process. So by taking the Aja cartridge, everything was on there. We just downloaded the Aja cartridge, cut everything up as needed, emailed them out, and everybody was happy. So that worked really, really well.
Did that
How many?
done to everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Any idea how many?
We had 12 groups.
And we had even more than that, adults coming in who just wanted to see the place.
Oh, sure, no,
Which
but
I was sure that would happen, but I didn't think that there'd be anywhere as much kids coming in with their families just to film something real quick.
yeah. Well, that's been promoted, going back to when Danielle was our
Yeah.
our coordinator. For a long, long time, people have heard about it, and so there's some awareness of the opportunity.
There was some confusion. Some people drove to the old studio, went like this and turned around and came back.
Yeah, in the announcements, it should be,
Yeah.
not that place in
Yeah,
South
well,
Gravel.
Maybe a
certainly
sign,
would-
sign at the old place to say,
Yeah.
go here instead.
And as Jack alluded to earlier, we brought everybody in, showed them the conference room, told them that, this is one of the ways we want to give back to the community. Here's a conference room, you want to come in and use it. If it's Monday through Friday, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call me because I'm here. If it's a nighttime event, you have to plan a little differently because sometimes we're previously occupied. So the people that walked through, whether they were 7 or 70, all did the same thing. Whoa.
It really is.
That was the first word out of everyone's
It's
mouth.
really dramatic.
It went really, really well. We were pleased with the turnout. We were pleased with the interest. We gave out a number of business cards and exchanged emails. There were people that were interested. They asked some questions that we thought were a little difficult to answer as to if I do bring Junior or the family down to do a producer's course, when will that start? So we pushed them off till springtime, hoping that we'd be well into the license agreement with Charter. But it was a success. Everybody had a wonderful time, and we didn't have any issues at all. Everything worked perfectly well. Great.
And I got to, I filmed a promo for GCTV. That
you
was
get that
exciting
all
for
right?
me. Huh?
Did you get that all right?
I don't know, I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't get sent to you?
It got posted on the Facebook page, so,
It's posted?
yeah.
All right, I'll have to look.
Another thing that I would want to
Yes.
bring attention, as it is, we have a small cardboard sign in the window, tells us it's cable, it's cable office.
It's coming up.
There's an
Right.
item down here.
Good.
In the meantime, I put a piece of paper in the window that says Grafton PD with an arrow, because people still come and ring the doorbell.
So the needs assessment, that's Mr. Berger was on there, but.
I'll do my best Bob Burger imitation. Bob and I started compiling a list of items. You remember when Bill came here and said that he wanted it to be very, very detailed. We've been in contact with Stuart Randall, who was creating the list for us. When we get Stuart's very detailed list, we'll incorporate it into the package and present it to Bill and see if that meets with his approval.
Are we gonna get a chance to see it?
Well, we haven't seen it yet, so,
No.
Bill wanted to have an answer to give to cable, to Charter this month, but we still haven't seen the product from Stuart yet. So, if I understand Bill correctly, he wants to have all of that before he starts the casual negotiation point. So if Stuart drags his feet, or if it looks like it's gonna get delayed, that will push the beginning of that off, because Bill doesn't wanna sit down and talk to them until he's got firm information. And then the other thing that Bill mentioned in a recent email was that he wanted the committee to come up with a dollar amount for an ask. What's the ask the committee's gonna come up with? So, I brought the cable license from Charter, and I was scanning through it before the meeting began, I can't find anything in the license that talks about dollars and cents. So when this was created back in 2010, what was the ask? That's the question. And
I
if we,
don't know, I don't know what the ask was. We should be able to tell what the give was.
well, those were Bill's words. He wanted
Yeah.
to know what the committee's gonna ask for. So
Bill should know what our ask was.
that was, funny you bring that up. I did find that quite odd. And as I said, I went right to the license, couldn't find anything there. Whatever that dollar amount turned out to be,
25% more.
we add 25% on and say to Bill, here's the number, or how does the committee want to determine?
25% more and give them the number. That's what I think.
But the question is, I still don't know what that number, I don't,
Yeah,
know,
well,
unless,
tell him
unless
that you
Bob's
should
got
know
it,
the number,
you know,
yeah.
unless Bob's got it right on the top of his head, I don't remember what that number is.
There's gotta be something in the license for what we got. Although I haven't, looked for a few years.
I glanced, like I said, I glanced through it, I couldn't find anything in here that talked about dollars and cents, so.
Yeah, well, how much is the other carrier?
Verizon,
Verizon.
well, it's sizable, so.
Yeah, it should be at least half of that, given the division between viewers, customers, should be, don't even think about less than half of that, because they're two-thirds of the viewers, subscribers are Verizon, one-third are Charter.
So that sounds like a good starting point, if we can get, because obviously we have the most recent Verizon license, if we get the dollar amount from there,
It's a little tricky,
I
because
would say
it's
take
broken
a
up.
third of that,
No, half.
add 25%.
No,
half.
half of it. A half of it.
All right.
so we
Half,
take,
and then add, yeah.
we take unannounced dollar amount Verizon,
Yeah,
cut it in half,
jack it up 25%.
add 25% and use that as a
Is the
baseline.
ask, yeah.
And maybe that will satisfy Bill's requirements, I mean, but like Bob said,
Nothing
I'm
like
surprised that Bill
negotiating in
doesn't
front
know
of a
that number,
TV
so.
audience.
Yeah, I assume that they're watching, or they'll be watching to find out what our strategy is.
I was only kidding.
Unfortunately, we can't legally have an executive session.
Yeah, we
Talk
didn't
about
announce
it.
it. No, we didn't announce it either.
Well, but it's not a suitable subject for.
Contract negotiation.
I don't think, no, because this has
Well,
come
we're
up
not gonna do
before.
it anyway, so it's
No,
moot. Okay,
But I have a roadmap now that I'll follow and
Okay,
try and
good.
come up with that information.
the signage, did Bob mention anything to you about, what he did?
I only spoke to Bob very briefly early this morning, and the signage did not come up in conversation.
right,
At the
we'll leave
last
it on the
meeting, he
agenda.
said, he was gonna pursue it. I can't answer for him. I
Any
don't-
idea what kind of signage he's thinking of?
Do
or
you
you're
remember what
thinking?
we talked about?
Well, there were the possibilities of having, lettering put on the front of the part of the building that went across. But how big the letters were, whether they're gonna be backlit, internally lit, or lit at all,
That was,
all of
my
those were
understanding is that
possibilities.
that's what he was gonna bring us back, some models to look at.
Some ideas of different possibilities,
Yeah.
right? And I asked about electricity, and he says, oh, you can get electricity anywhere.
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
remember that.
punch a hole through the wall. No, I've always pictured it as just going back to Grafton Police. You remember,
Yeah.
there were, not cheap, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, that's not a cheap sign because it's metal individual letters. But that's what that building looks right with. If you can go to something that it can be lit, then that's better. Bob will advise you on the sign bylaw. As
You know
to,
what thought I had when I was watching a thing on the news about they're taking guns in at Blackstone Valley and creating other things?
Crushing them, yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
would we contact BVT and see whether or not they might be interested in creating a sign or signage?
I'd like us to have the sign up soon. To do that, that's got a big lead time on it.
It's just a thought.
The only thing, correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing I know we talked about last month when we met was whatever signage we put out on the street, we talked about it keeping it low,
Yeah,
so that it didn't interfere with the next sign, which is Grafton Police.
right.
Right, but that's only on the front, you know, the front
Right,
part.
so we're actually, in my mind, we're talking about two signs. One
Right.
on the building and
On the
one
building and then
out
out
between
front.
the two hedges out front.
Yeah, if you want electricity out there, that's a little different story.
No, I don't think we need that.
We know people.
When I pressed Bob Berger about the, you know, what physical sizes of the sign can be and so forth, you know, based on the rules, Bob Berger was saying, we can have whatever we want.
Well, it wouldn't be.
That's what he said.
The issue,
Well-
the issue, if I'm not mistaken,
He
with
said we could have
planning
whatever we
has
want.
been folding A signs on sidewalks, and this would be, if it's like the police station, it would be in the grass,
Permanently
a little
mounted,
bit
yeah.
up, placed down.
Right. He apparently didn't see there was any size restriction.
I don't see, I don't see an LED sign in our future.
No,
Just
no, I
something
don't.
simple, yeah.
Oh, and electronically changeable. I do know just a little bit about the sign bylaw.
Yeah. Just there.
Oh, you know anyone on the planning board?
Yeah,
Oh, your wife?
yeah, Linda will be able to,
I'll be able to talk to her. Okay, into new business, open house. I've decided that we're gonna have the open house on January 17th, 2020.
Good idea.
starting at 5
Wait a minute, starting,
Five.
starting at 5
and going.
PM.
PM. See, that's why I had it there twice. Because I wasn't sure, when I put it up there initially, I wasn't sure when the date would be,
It was important.
honest to God. Now, the coordination,
So just a few minutes ago, my phone rang, or went beep, or whatever noise it made, ding. So I've had two conversations. I had one conversation with Tom Walsh and one conversation with Dr. Cummings. Dr. Cummings reached out to me Friday afternoon, and he wants to come over and have a sit-down face-to-face, and he hasn't decided when that's gonna be yet, but that is in the works. And then just now I got the follow-up to an email from Thomas Walsh, the teacher, and he said when the meeting with Jay takes place, then he will reach out and have a follow-up. So, they're still both on board. I reached out to them and told them that we got our green light on the fire alarm. You know, as far as we're concerned, we're open to the public, so they're good to go. So they're ready to jump on board.
what I'm thinking is that if we can talk to them before the open house, we can make them part of the program.
Of course they'd be invited, is that what you
No,
mean?
but I'm saying part of the program, I imagine that would have some sort of presentation, all
Oh,
there
you know, to
short.
introduce them and talk about the
And let them just say, here's what we're gonna be doing here.
handshake and the partnership. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So you're gonna have a certain time during this, just generally open house, you're gonna have a time
A
when.
time that will have an official type ceremony.
O'clock or something like that.
Yeah, and then, you know, the dignitaries there, give them FaceTime. And we'll do that.
Yeah, and then just mention some names and
Yeah.
Talk about
I
what's
think it
going
should
on.
go out live.
Well, we can talk about it.
That would have to be said in advance. Just saying, that would have.
Yeah?
Or we could have a live segment during the open house,
I think that's what he meant.
not the whole thing.
The live
Why?
live coverage of the presentations.
So
Because I think people get really antsy. People get nervous when they see me walking around because they think I got a camera in my
Yeah.
pocket. But
People get nervous downstairs when the on-air thing is on because they think that their meeting is live.
Yeah.
if we created an event and covered whatever speeches or presentations, I think that might.
We have it start at 5, and then what we could do is that at 7 o'clock, we could have a 30-minute live segment.
Gather everybody into the main studio,
Yeah.
which is large enough, and then you could turn on a camera and
And
just
people
take-
who don't want to be on camera, the place is
They don't
big
have
enough,
to.
they don't have to
stand
be
in the
there.
background. Yeah.
Right. One other thing I was going to just suggest is that in all the preparation on this, for the most part, we don't have a meeting yet planned between now and when we have the
Yeah.
open house, which means the 13th, the
13th,
Monday before.
planning board,
Is that a planning board?
Don't planning board meet the first Monday of the month?
second and fourth, except when we don't.
You could say that about anything.
we don't when there's a conflict, there's like a holiday or a town meeting.
I was merely saying it's just the Monday before the open house to give us a chance to have a quick review of
The,
things.
we're doing the 17th. No,
Yes, we are.
The 13th is planning board, the 27th is planning board.
Monday the 6th, we could do it earlier, or Thursday the 9th. We've done Thursdays before.
Can I make a suggestion? Instead of thinking this as a regular meeting as a result of the open house, how about if we tabled the idea of a meeting unless it was gonna be deemed necessary within 48 business hours, and set a date for a meeting to discuss the open house, the open house. All right, the open house, just so that we make sure that you have all the support that you need, and that we walk out of there with a plan. As far as, you open the door at 5, we'll do this, you're in charge of this, you're gonna be here, you do that, and then, all right, at 7 o'clock, we go live, here's our agenda from 7 to 7:30, things like that. So maybe we could set a meeting to go through that.
I have an idea. We could tentatively, I think I'm using that word right, have a meeting with an agenda that's just one item, discuss the open house for a little earlier on Monday the 13th, maybe 5, have it at the studio so people could come in. We know Bob's going to be out because he has a meeting later that night. I'm going to be there. You would be there. And like I said, we could have that outline, say this isn't a definite meeting date, but if we should need one, we could have it at 5.
Make it 5:30, 5
Yep,
to
sure, yeah,
too early.
that works,
Work
yep.
for you? Or you wanna make it a motion?
Even though it's not gonna be a definite, or do we definitely
No,
wanna have a
no,
meeting?
we'll have
that
a
day?
posted meeting.
Okay, I make a motion, we have our monthly meeting, January 13th, at 5:30 at the Grafton Cable Studio, at 26 Providence Road.
And the only agenda item that I plan on having, unless something comes up, so we're all aware, if something comes up, then get to me before then. But the only agenda item I'll have is the prep for the open house.
And the planning for the February meeting.
Yes.
For the what?
The planning
Oh,
for the
for
February meeting.
I'll second.
Yeah,
Shut off your high beams.
Is that, is that okay with you?
yeah, the 9th would not have been good. I have to chair a big meeting in Auburn on that night.
What is it, like with overweight people?
Did you say?
No,
January
Different
13th,
big?
13.
big,
that Monday.
big,
Alright.
like 50 or 100 people.
I'm gonna leave the next item on there as well. That was really just for young Mr. Berger. I got contacted by someone who was watching our last meeting, and when Bob was showing the budget information on the computer on the wall, it apparently did not go on the air, and this person was a visual learner, understander, or whatever the word is, and was having a hard time following along on following the budget information. So we need to, if we're gonna do that, we need to either incorporate that onto the program, or make sure that that slide is a part of the minutes, so that if a person is looking at it, they would have a resource where they could look at that slide and then satisfy themselves as far as if they were trying to monitor what's going on.
Could add a little work to the the program, post-production by insert editing.
Yeah, that's easy. We can do that.
Unless one of
All
us
right, well,
wants-
we'll talk about that
so
again.
That'll be more readable than the camera on that screen.
The 5:30 meeting?
No, we're not gonna talk about it then.
No, I'm about when we have that
Yeah.
meeting. Do you want to host it here or at the?
I
new
said-
studio?
No, at the
I said
studio.
At the.
At
yeah,
the studio, okay.
Did you make that official? Did we? vote
Oh,
on that?
that's right, too. Is there a second?
Second.
motion?
I already seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, thank you. That's like an impeachable offense, you know,
Which is,
Oh, I'll remember this.
which is,
having a motion on the floor and then forgetting all about it and moving along.
I'll,
That could be in front of
I'll
the
refer it to the committee.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we'll discuss that slides again the next time we have a regular meeting.
So, can I ask one question?
Yes,
So going forward, when something is presented on the slide, we will put it into post-production. The person who made the request to you, if I get the information from Bob, I'll forward it to that person.
Could you put it on our website?
well, I'm just thinking if it's not on, I'm just developing this stutter. If it's not gonna be on the video when it's in post-production, then if it's a part of the minutes of the meeting, then that'll be available to the public.
Well, but he said he can insert edit.
If I get
Okay.
the information from Bob that he presented here,
Yeah,
and I put it into post-production, I can take down the meeting that's currently running and replace it with the corrected or updated meeting,
oh, good,
and then alert the person in question that this is where it can be found.
all right,
That's ultimately what we're gonna do.
all
I-
right, that
I
sounds
haven't-
reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah, I haven't visited us on, the new town website.
Oh, I
but-
did.
But, we should be putting stuff up that, being on the planning board, if you've ever looked at what the
Yeah.
planning board does, we,
They'll be-
very open, very transparent, everything that you could possibly want. I wanna find, by the way, the documentation for the quiet zone. I can't find that on.
Yes, that power, I'm sure there are a lot of people that wanna see that
Yeah,
presentation.
what I wanna see though is not those those funny animated, the cars are moving. I wanna see the engineering drawing of,
Now, do you have an employee for the planning board that posts those things? Or is it just an appointed member of the board that does that?
no, that's done by people in the office.
An employee, okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna be down to nobody.
Pretty soon.
Well, it's, that's something that I had on my secondary list, that once we were open, some other things to, like brighten up our availability, that's not the word I want, though. This is the word I want, Corson.
Transparency?
Visibility. Did you say that?
Transparency and visibility. Yes,
Yes.
I said it 3 times.
Okay, good. I thought I heard it, because there's a lot of voices in my head. And that's, yeah, that's right. Just be quiet, will you? Yeah, and I think we want to do that now that we're open to the public. I'd like to really see us,
I think a good first step is, I'm sure that our phone number is posted there, but I think maybe just adding some verbiage along the lines of, if you have any questions or want to know about the availability, here's the
Yeah.
phone number, instead of just putting it there.
But I'm talking about, more than, like, have these documents. Actually, any documents that are part of the meeting are supposed to be part of the minutes.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how people are actually handling that, but, but information about what's going. You can have a whole lot of stuff on the, we used to have a good bit of stuff.
Yeah, I want to have a whole agenda item on that and talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what we can do on the website now that we're open and we're viable.
Do you have that written down?
Are you the one who would post on cable website?
So, when we produce anything on the government channel or anything on the public channel, there are 2 or 3 ways people can access it. So the moment we finish processing planning board, it gets posted to the system, which brings it up to VOD. And of course, there's streaming. The same production goes to the town YouTube channel. Every government meeting goes to the town YouTube channel. So there's your second opportunity. And then the way is that when we post it to the town Facebook page, it's not a live link, it takes you back to where you can watch it. So we have been posting government meetings to the YouTube page since,
For a while.
I think, March of last year, February of last year. So the page is growing significantly. So, and it's strictly government meetings. On our GCTV Facebook page, anything we produce, Santa Claus coming to the Common, anything that's a public event goes on that page. And the posting or the link to those go on our GCTV Facebook page.
Is there a redirect to the YouTube on our government, or on the website?
On the town,
the
I
town.
believe so, but right off the top of my head, I don't.
Because
I'm
that's,
sure,
I
but-
feel like that's,
But that's content, I'm thinking about the business, you know, we used to have stuff about, here's pictures of the studio, here's about being a producer,
See,
here's about
wanna
what's
have-
happening.
Yeah, I wanna have a whole
Yeah, okay, so
discussion
we'll
on
talk
that.
about it.
yes.
Yeah, I wanna, yeah, and all
We'll
of
talk
those
about it.
thoughts there, I think it's important now.
The frequently asked questions are part of the town page.
When were those
The
updated?
frequently asked questions
Yeah.
are part of the town page.
Uh-huh, but my question was, if,
Have a look.
are you the one who goes into virtual town hall and puts things on those, on that page or pages?
Yes.
Okay, so,
What the hell is that? I don't know what the hell I got all over me. But I
Hair?
look like a
Do you have
slob.
Do you have an animal?
I do, but.
I know, if you pull up under there, no one will know.
There, how's that? All right, is there any public input? Nope.
There being no public, move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done.